Ty Cobb. The name conjures images of baseball greatness, ferocious competitiveness, and yes, a hefty dose of controversy. Imagine a player who could hit like a demon, run like a cheetah on espresso, and, as legend has it, fight like a rabid badger. Cobb was all that and more. But what made him such a notorious figure in baseball history? Let's dive into 6 things that show Ty Cobb was an asshole. Ty Cobb wasn't just good at baseball, he was otherworldly. Born in 1886 in Georgia, Cobb burst onto the major league scene like a tornado wrapped in a hurricane. He played an astonishing 24 seasons in Major League Baseball from 1905 to 1928, primarily with the Detroit Tigers before finishing his career with the Philadelphia Athletics. His career batting average of .366 still stands as the highest in MLB history. That's right, folks. No one has hit better over their career, and it's been almost a century since he hung up his spikes. If Cobb played today, he'd probably bat .500 while solving a Rubik's Cube and juggling flaming swords. But it wasn't just his stats that made him infamous, it was his ferocious, take-no-prisoners style of play. Cobb's aggressive playing style was legendary. Picture this. You're a third baseman and you see Cobb barreling down the baselines, spikes gleaming in the sun like tiny swords. Your options? Dive for cover or risk needing a tetanus shot. Cobb was known for sliding into bases with his spikes up, aiming to intimidate or injure opposing players. He wasn't making friends, but he was scoring runs and stealing bases. His sharpened cleats were a weapon, and he wielded them with the precision of a medieval knight. One particularly infamous incident involved Cobb sliding into third base against the Philadelphia Athletics. Frank Home Run Baker was there trying to tag him out, but Cobb had other ideas. He slid hard, his spikes catching Baker's shin, leaving a nasty gash. Just a love tap, Cobb might have quipped, but to Baker, it felt more like a bear trap. Cobb's philosophy was simple: get out of my way or pay the price. Cobb's temper was as legendary as his batting average. In 1912, during a game in New York, a particularly vocal heckler named Claude Luker made the mistake of taunting Cobb from the stands. Luker, who was missing several fingers due to a previous accident, was relentless in his jeers. Cobb, never one to back down from a confrontation, decided enough was enough. He vaulted into the stands and unleashed a flurry of punches on Luker. When fans pointed out that Luker was disabled, Cobb allegedly responded, "I don't care if he has no feet," before continuing the assault. This incident earned Cobb a suspension and widespread condemnation. But did it teach him a lesson? Not really. Cobb's temper remained as fiery as ever, like a volcano that erupted with alarming regularity. Cobb's problematic behavior extended beyond the diamond. His views on race were abysmal, even by the standards of his time. In an era when racism was pervasive, Cobb stood out for his overt and aggressive racism. One ugly incident involved a black groundskeeper, Bungie Cummings, whom Cobb attacked for merely trying to shake his hand. When Cummings' wife tried to intervene, Cobb reportedly choked her as well. Such incidents weren't isolated. They were part of a pattern of behavior that Cobb exhibited throughout his life. Despite his undeniable talent, Cobb's views and actions in this regard cast a long, dark shadow over his legacy. While baseball was eventually integrated and became a symbol of progress, Cobb's attitudes remained a reminder of the sport's less savory past. Cobb's combative nature wasn't limited to his interactions with fans and opponents. He frequently clashed with his own teammates, too. Sam Crawford, a fellow Hall of Famer, had a particularly rocky relationship with Cobb. The two outfielders often bickered, with Cobb accusing Crawford of undermining him, while Crawford found Cobb's antics intolerable. One legendary feud involved Cobb and umpire Billy Evans. Cobb accused Evans of unfair calls and publicly challenged him to a fight. The two actually squared off in an alley behind a Detroit hotel like something out of a Wild West showdown. Cobb emerged victorious, of course, because losing just wasn't in his DNA. Ty Cobb's fiery temper got the better of him, both on and off the field. In one particularly memorable episode, Cobb got into a bar fight with a night watchman named George Stanfield at the Euclid Hotel in Cleveland. The altercation reportedly started over a trivial matter, but quickly escalated into a full-blown brawl. Cobb, never one to shy away from a fight, left Stansfield battered and bruised. Then there was that time Cobb confronted a group of butcher's apprentices in Detroit who had been heckling him. Cobb didn't just argue with them, he went full Hulk mode, laying into the group and emerging with a few bruises of his own. It was said that Cobb fought like a man possessed, with a fury that was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. Despite his numerous flaws, Cobb wasn't just a ball player, he was a shrewd businessman. He invested heavily in Coca-Cola and other ventures, becoming one of the first athletes to achieve millionaire status. This financial acumen was almost as impressive as his batting skills. While other players were struggling to make ends meet, Cobb was raking in the dough, living the high life. His investment in Coca-Cola alone made him a fortune, and Cobb wasn't shy about flaunting his wealth. He bought a luxurious estate complete with all the trappings of success. Yet, even in his business dealings, Cobb's abrasive personality often led to conflicts and legal battles. Ty Cobb's life was a paradox. On one hand, he was undeniably one of the greatest baseball players of all time. His records, many of which still stand today, speak to his extraordinary talent and dedication to the game. He played with a ferocity and passion that few could match, and his impact on the sport is indelible. In recognition of his incredible career, Cobb was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1936 as part of its inaugural class, cementing his place among the all-time greats. On the other hand, Cobb's off-field behavior was reprehensible. His racism, violent temper, and hostile relationships marred his legacy. While he was celebrated for his prowess on the diamond, he was equally reviled for his actions off it. Cobb's life serves as a stark reminder that greatness in one area does not excuse failure in others. Cobb's final years were as tumultuous as the rest of his life. He suffered from various health issues, including diabetes, high blood pressure, and chronic kidney disease. Despite his wealth, Cobb led a relatively reclusive life in his later years, reflecting on his career and, perhaps, his numerous battles. On July 17, 1961, Ty Cobb passed away at the age of 74 in Atlanta, Georgia. He left behind a complicated legacy that continues to be a topic of debate among baseball historians and fans. In the end, Ty Cobb remains one of the most compelling and controversial figures in baseball history. His story is a roller coaster of incredible highs and devastating lows, of awe-inspiring achievements and deeply troubling actions. Cobb was a man who lived life at full throttle, for better or for worse. His legacy is a complex tapestry, woven with threads of brilliance and darkness. So the next time you hear the name Ty Cobb, remember that you're not just hearing about a baseball legend. You're hearing about a man who embodied the best and worst of human nature. A man whose life story is as riveting and tumultuous as the game he loved. And maybe, just maybe, you'll appreciate the wild ride that was Ty Cobb's life, even if you wouldn't want to share a dugout with him. If you enjoyed this video into the life of Ty Cobb, then do what any smart person would do and hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing. Just click a damn button. So get to it. We'll catch you in the next inning.